Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday night in California and Sunday morning here in Denmark. I'm excited to be with you all. I've been looking forward to this. I woke up at 6:30. I thought, what is it I'm going to do today? Yeah, I'm going to be sharing my my gifts with you guys, with you women. I'm going to be sharing how you can stop fighting in your relationships. I'm going to be sharing the tools and the homework and what to do in order to finally let go of anger. That's why this program now is called, these 5 days trainings is called Bye Bye Anger, Hello Love. Call it what you want. It's about managing your emotions. It's about getting better communication with your husband and your kids through connection. And I'm going to get into what that is. And we've added a special ingredients in this training, which is about letting go of guilt. So you have no more shame or blame, and that's how you really let go of losing it and getting angry, is when you start to forgive yourself. So, all right. To those of you who don't know me, my name is Samantha Kirkegaard Poulsen. It used to be Amanda Maya Haywood, so now I have 2 names. But when I coach, it's Samantha. And I'm here in Denmark with my 2 boys and my now beloved ex-husband, who's living right across from me. So we're still close in every way. He's still, or my relationship with him is still teaching me every day. I use these practices myself to turn around from pity parties and to get back to connection, to control my emotions, to see things clearly, to trust that he's loving, doesn't mean to hurt me. There's so much possibility for practice. Anyways, the reason I'm teaching this and I've learned so much is because I've been very challenged in many ways, and it's been a great lecture, and I'm super happy and thankful for my 10-year marriage. We don't know exactly where we're going to end up, but I'm following my own coaching and stepping into the unknown. But I used to be so stuck. I used to feel so sorry for myself and be so stuck, fighting again and again and again. And I used to just, sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. And I used to fail so many times, and I didn't know what to do until I finally found out how to manage my mind and manage my emotions and get back to connection to myself, to my higher being, to everything that matters. So that's my claim to fame, you all. I really am the master at managing emotions, because I was so crazy driven by my emotions. Like I was just, I don't know how you guys act or how other people act. My husband certainly didn't act like that, but I was really managed by my emotions for years. And I know the consequences. I know the cost, what it costs to not be able to manage your emotions, to go down that war path again and again and again. It has tremendous cost for yourself, and for your children, and for your love life, and for just who you are as a person, the way you see yourself. And it's a very high cost, okay? And it's a very bad habit, and we can implement a better habit today. So yeah, a bit about my personal story and how I ended up in this work. I used to be in investment banking and then IT startups, completely different game, had nothing to do with coaching, even though I was a sales CEO sometimes, or a sales manager. So I did some leadership, but it's just not the same at all, okay? I thought coaching was something like, what is this? In 2007, everybody was a coach, I remember, and I thought it was pretty weird. But anyways, on the day that my mom died, my business partner just took off with the business, the IT venture that I started like 9 years ago, and that we worked together on day and night for the past 2 years, and I worked on for so long, and it was taking off, and it was huge, and he took off with it on the day my mom died. Very calculative and cruel thing to do, but a blessing in disguise. It was for me, because I had no other choice under the circumstances than to just follow the path of God, or follow the new steps in front of me. And that led me to coaching, and it led me to something that I call Make Love Not War, which was the name of my 2 shows where I interviewed people all around the world, and that took on, and here I am today. So I'm thankful for that happening, and I got to see really how everything bad in your life has a silver lining. It really does. Even something as cruel as how my parents both died in pain and agony, and it was crazy to watch. But there is something beautiful in everything when you choose it, because if you don't choose it, it's just pain and agony and awful. So when something like that happens, it really teaches you, but when you don't have a choice, it teaches you that you do have a choice to see things in a different way. And there is great in all the pain and suffering, everything you get through with your parents, with your kids, with your husband. There is something to be learned there. So we'll get into that today. I'm excited about showing you that too. If you feel a little stuck and frustrated in your emotions, I look forward to sharing this with you. Okay, so yes, the ultra short story. I grew up with a mom that had a lot of love and a lot of anger, really crazy anger. I think Rachaholic is applicable, and I know how that feels. I can get that way too, or used to. So at the age of 9, I was pretty much left on my own a lot, and I think my mom really just broke my heart in many ways, not just because of the anger, but for other reasons as well. And I turned to various addictions. And so fast forward from 9, getting all these very bad habits, the way to mend my heart, and just, I think beneath every addiction and really extreme self-destruction and bad habits is just a broken heart, right? There's this child with a broken heart. But fast forward to 27, when I met Eckhart Tolle, and it just turned my life around. For the first time, I started to really love myself and do something good for myself for once. That was a turning point. And there's been many other turning points along the way. But I managed to learn how to turn one bad habit around one at a time. And I call it one story at a time today. But at that time, it was more about doing something that builds me up, doing something that builds you up instead of tearing you down. So I really got to learn that. And today, all my various addictions have morphed into being my worst habits today is chocolate and TV and tea, drinking tea. So that's, and coaching as well. My favorite addiction, so to speak, is coaching. I love coaching. Nothing feels as good as being able to help people, especially how everything that was hard in your life and everything just has a silver lining. God has a plan. That's what you dive into when you coach. I really feel that way. And volunteer work, that makes me feel so much love and presence and peace and calm, and fills me up just the same as coaching does. I'm very involved in Center for the Sexual Abused here in Olms, where I live, and Blue Crescent, who deliver food for the young addicts who are living. They do have a house. They're not homeless, but they're hanging out in the streets. So we cook for them, and we drive out on these bicycles, big bicycles, and we serve food for them where they hang out. And I love doing that. And Center for the Sexual Abused is for adults who were abused sexually as kids. And they have some severe trauma, the ones that I'm working with. And it's just about being there and being present and being human beings. So anyways, those are two groups of people that I can relate to, both of. And that's what I love to do. So besides coaching. So my intention today is to just turn some heads and some minds around and give you guys some hope and some tools, and also really make a change. So I will do everything in my power as a coach to make sure you follow up on this and don't just sit and listen and that was that. Really give you inspiration and reason to change. So here's my promise to you. Looking at my notes. Okay, maybe I should share my screen so I make sure that you guys see everything you should. Here we go. Bye-bye anger, hello love. The number one secret to get better communication and connection with your husband and kids. Connection is the key. You communicate when you're in connection. And then there are all these tactics and hacks, but connection is where you want to be. So just make sure you're in the right place. This is for ambitious wives and mothers. Husbands and everybody else are welcome too, but this is really for moms and wives who have a lot of ambition and who you have to be wanting to create a better relationship. Before I start promising all the results that you can get and that you will get if you do this, you have to want to do better in your relationship. Stop fighting. You gotta have that desire for this to work. And you've got to be willing to look at what you can do right now, not what your husband or kids shouldn't do, and be open to a new path and a different way, and be ready to finally get a different result by thinking and acting differently. Let's see if we can get a little closer here. Press this screen. So I want you to think about this. What if there was a way to get what you want and it was the opposite of what you're doing right now? Let's think about that. And what if you didn't have to wait for your husband and children to do something, but you could get what you wanted right now without waiting? What if you could get everything you want without yelling? Just imagine that. And here's the fun part. This is where it gets really interesting. What if there was a gift in everything that really makes you, everything that triggers you about your husband and kids? What if that was something positive and that was something valuable? What if every trigger was a gold mine? How rich would you be? Think about that, because that is true. It literally is. I think my screen froze. I love this picture. Great picture to have your presentation freeze. Okay. This is the intro that I already did. Sorry about that. Coaching, volunteer work. So my journey down below, my husband and kids after leadership training. Yeah, so I'll probably get into that too, see how these slides go. But yeah, I did do a lot of leadership training and I interviewed a lot of people, but enough about me. Failure was the key to my success. That's true. I failed a lot of time, but what I was successful at was help women literally all around the world. Australia, California, England, India. I've connected with so many amazing women and helped them, inspired them in Mexico, and yeah. So this stuff really does work that you're about to learn today. Oh, I've been creative. So here is my promise to you. You may be thinking, oh, I've heard all of this before. Why should this work? Okay, let's go through the testimonials. This is Denise. Before I come with my promise, I want you to see the proof. All right. So Denise, she's 52, she's a little older now, and this made a huge difference in her life, in her world. And this does work. It did for her, and it does for you, right? And you can see she's writing. I swear he's been listening to these recordings. He's been showing me in so many ways that he loves me. He tries to be cleaner. He talks much nicer. We had the most awesome talks, even about feelings. How many of you wouldn't love to talk about feelings with your husband and also your kids? I find that to be the most amazing moments when they open up, and they do when you do this work, because you're the leader. They mirror you. That's why it's what you can do, not what they can do. And then you get the results because they see you and they mirror you. And you lead yourself and you lead by example, okay? And watch what she's writing below. Now we just have to make that choice daily. I just broke down and cried. It felt so good. So imagine this. She's been stuck for years. Maybe the way you feel, the way I felt, definitely. And all of a sudden there's like, there's a solution to get out of this pain and suffering and just feel the power of love and be led by it. So here we go. My promise to you, and when you stay tuned for this next half hour, how long it's going to take, you will get from stuck to empowered. You'll have the tools you will see that you have a choice, right? You will see things differently. What I can promise you is that your feeling is going to change from feeling completely stuck 100% of the time to also feel empowered. You might still feel challenged and stuck, but you will feel empowered as well when you take this training in, and you will see things differently, and you will have a choice to change. I can't promise you're going to change, but there will be a choice where you can choose. Now, you might choose the warpath again and again because it's habits, but you will have the choice to change. So seeing things differently is what you will get out of this time we have together. And that's very important. Okay, so a little more proof here that this does work, because you have heard so many promises, so many master classes. I know. But This was a woman that I talked to for one session, I believe. Yeah. And she'd been in therapy for 20 years. Okay. Stuck in the stories that we tell ourselves of all our limitations. And she did start to believe in herself and change the way she looked at things, because therapists can be well-meaning and friends, everybody can be well-meaning, but changing in something inside your head that really has effect on your life is different, right? It really takes somebody who can convince you and change your story and show you the truth that's already inside of you, that well-meaning mothers, well-meaning friends are gonna tell you, yeah, he should do this or that, or your kid should, they're gonna, because they love you, they're gonna support you by saying yes to your stories. But what really supports you is changing your stories, right? So my job as a coach is not to be a friend, it's to interrupt your stories. And well-meaning people are just gonna help you stay stuck and never ever gonna change. And this is Sarah, you probably heard about her. I wanna show you this because she managed to turn her love relationship around after 7 years of being stuck fighting. I think it was 7 actually, same as I was before I turned around my marriage. And she was really at the lowest point in her life when she reached out to me, and we talked, I think 2 times for 2 hours almost before she signed up for the program, and she managed to stop blaming for 24 hours. She had so much reason to blame that you wouldn't believe it, or complain. And her husband was so tired of all the blaming and complaining, but she, trust me, it was a challenge for her not to, but she managed to do it. We managed to get her to not blame, and they had a date night, and he said he loved her. She can remember when she wrote me this text. I'll never ever forget that. This is magic, you guys. May not work within 24 hours, but it really does work. That's what I want you to think. Look at how the lady changed. That's a little discriminatory. The one that thought it wouldn't work was like, a little heavier. But anyways, this is what I want you to feel after this masterclass. I want to give you hope and the tools. I can see I put in another testimony. This is Rachel. She had tried everything. When I talked to her, she was actually the first client that I signed on. I talked to her after my first show. She cried because she felt so alone, being angry. She literally told me that I have tried everything. So she tried these yoga teachers, you know, these really, they don't, well, my thought was, gee, they don't understand anger. Like, they're really zen and calm, and you know, you can try all this positive wording and all these tactics, and you're just like, I remember getting all this advice from all these experts, and I'm like, I can't apply that. My husband doesn't want to do couples meetings. Like date night, I had to arrange. Like, it just didn't work for me, those tools. And she had tried everything. And what really worked was finding me, because I understood her, right? I understood anger, and I do it differently. It's not tactics. It's not something you read in a book. It's not all these things, right? And she definitely, yeah, you're still gonna yell and lose it. It's not gonna vanish overnight, but you get to see the changes, and you can decrease your fighting with at least 50%. And even just 10%, it's just making you do more good than bad, right? So you build up your relationship more than you tear it down when you change your habits. And it's just one habit at a time, one step at a time in the right direction. Because we either go towards love or away from love, down the warpath, right? So it's about shifting that. So here's my promise to you, my wild, crazy promise that you get to experience, not just by watching this masterclass, but when you apply the tools. And you all have 5 days to get coaching and training and do homework and apply this, right? So for the next 5 days, you get to experience and take free coaching and support and see this promise come true. The longest journey of your life only takes 1 second. It really is 1 second, it can switch. I have tried it, I have seen it. When you're stuck fighting and you manage to say the right things, which is a bit of a hack, but this is when you're stuck. When you manage to have a mindset shift where you trust his love, boom, like that, you're back at connection. Isn't it crazy how we can go from this to this, right? We're literally shouting, I love you, I want to make love to you, I love you, when we're arguing at each other, right? So why is this coaching different? Really, I don't know. I just know that I'm different. And I didn't go to coaching school. And it's leadership training, right? You don't sit here with your husband, you yourself train yourself, right? It's not couples counseling or therapy in that way. It is training on how you can lead yourself. And you use all these real life things to train it to fail and recommit. And it's not just these, I had a client say, yeah, she took this, couples retreat or this seminar with this, well, you do I feel statements. That's great too. Nothing bad about it. It just doesn't cut it for me. It's not enough, okay? And it might not be for you either. So that's why this is different. This is learning by doing. So I say, here's how I learned. 10 years of marriage, in a marriage no other woman could have been in. I'm not going to get into details, but why? Just trust me. I learned a lot because it was very extreme, my challenges. My husband is very, very loving and sweet, and God bless his soul. Nobody else would have been in that marriage. I've interviewed over 100 of the world's top experts. They reached out and they were great and they were supportive. But like I said, most of it I couldn't apply in my own marriage. That's why I came up with the 12 steps. It's a practical approach, and it's supported and endorsed by the top thought leaders in this world. That sounds wild, but really the best experts in communication and in leadership and in relationship and in what's called shadow work. They've all tapped into their like magic, and they've supported it, and they stand behind it. They've endorsed it to their people, their audience. So I couldn't have done it without them. So I put my face right in front of Oprah's. I don't know if you can see, but there's a small camera with me on it because I find it's more personal with the slides. So my face was right on top of Oprah's. But this is, of course, to associate myself with some other people to gain credibility, right? So I interviewed, for example, Kelly Kosho, and she's the CEO of the, I keep turning it around to Betty and Debbie, but the Debbie Ford Institute. And this is Debbie Ford. This is Kelly, whom I interviewed some years ago with her shadow work. It's amazing. It's the exact same thing we teach. She just does it her way, and we call it triggers. And this is Debbie Ford being interviewed by Oprah. And Debbie Ford passed away at 58. You must have heard about her and known about her, very famous in her field. The same age my mom was when she passed away. And as you know, her passing away was really what led me on this path to be teaching what I'm teaching today in my 12 steps. So I think that was her doing from heaven, my mom, getting me out of this IT startup venture capital game that I was in and getting me on this more feminine love path of self-development and helping all you lovely women out there who are stuck in anger fighting. So anyways, I couldn't have done it without these people. So I thank them. And these are some other great people that have helped me. It is Janet O'Neill up here in the corner. And again, I put my face right on, on the great guy. Miguel Ruiz Jr. is down here. And his father was Ruiz Jr., who wrote the 4 agreements used by the Navy SEALs in the US. He's a great, one of the biggest thought leaders his dad is, and so is he. And up here in the corner with Janet O'Neill, she started work-life balance for IBM back in 1980. And I also talked to Susan Campbell, who started this whole industry writing the couple's journey, also in 1980. And Janet O'Neill is she's in New Jersey. And this is Mark Goldston over here with Just Listen. He's used by the FBI in hostage negotiations, and he is very deep into something called wake-up calls, where he helps suicidal youth and suicidal people, give them a lifeline to talk to him. And he also wrote a book called Talking to Crazy, where people had to hide the cover, but he's really, really good at communication. That's his thing. So some amazing people have endorsed his work. I'm saying it to let you know it works, but also have helped me on my journey. So I'm very, very thankful for them. And I'm trying to get the screen down. All right, computer wants to stay here for a while and show these amazing people. It's been a journey. And it's been amazing. And everybody's been so helpful. Okay. My computer's being a little weird. Bear with me. It has a life of its own. So now we have a red screen. And to fill that in, what you will learn after this is to manage your emotions. you're not going to learn it but by the end of this class, but you will know what to do to practice managing your emotions. That's what I can teach you. And why is managing your emotions so important? I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Hello, you guys. You can see me again. So you're going to learn to manage your emotions, right? And why is it so important to manage your emotions? It's not just to manage your mouth and what comes out of it, but it's also because you're either managing your emotions or your emotions are managing you. So when you're controlled by your emotions, now these are not the great emotions of love and faith and trust. These are the emotions of insecurity, right? When you're led by your emotions instead of leading them, you're going to be led by fear and insecurity automatically. And what happens when insecurity is in the driver's seat, you're going to drive off a cliff, always. So you want to take control of the vehicle of your life again, and you want to manage your emotions to work for you and not against you. And it's about when fear kicks in, when doubt kicks in, when you go down pity party mode, when you have great expectations and you get really hurt, you feel really sorry for yourself. When you understand the mechanisms and you start training, you can take back. Insecurity is always going to come, right? These doubts and these stories are always going to come up. It's natural when you love somebody and you have something to lose. But insecurity does not have to stay in the driver's seat. You get to be in the driver's seat. You get to have a choice and decide. And that's what managing your emotions is about. And that's how you can choose by anger, hello, love. And let's see, I don't know whether to share my screen or not here with you guys. This is just red. Maybe it's a sign that I should just be talking. Oh, and it goes back to questions. All right. Okay. So pictures are good. So I think I'm going to keep showing you these pictures, right? This is exactly what happens when insecurity is in the driver's seat. It always happens. Let me just see if you. Okay. So, okay. I'm going to stop this screen sharing. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you here without the slides. Okay. So this is the content part. The first part was the introduction to let you know what you can get out of this and just get your mind right. So here is the actual content. It is super, super simple. There is good behavior and then there's bad behavior. And I'm not saying bad to make you feel like a naughty little girl, scold yourself or saying you've done something wrong. It's just bad in the sense that it doesn't get you what you want. Okay? It's simply just bad behavior because it takes you in another direction. It doesn't get you to feel connection. It doesn't get you to love. It doesn't get you what you want. That's the only reason why it's bad. And then there's good behavior. Good behavior gets you to where you want to be, which is a place I call connection. When you're in connection, you get charged up. Insecurity is not there. You're filled with faith and trust. Your heart is open. Very important thing. You send out, what you send out means so much. That's why I feel statements and all these things. It can be good, and you can actually change in an argument tactically, and you can get to connection. There are tricks and hacks. But all in all, it's about being in connection as much as possible. And it is in this place. It can be whether it's in your lover's arms, when you're caressing your kids, or you have those moments. We don't have that many of them. They're pretty rare, but we can create more and more. But you always want to be there. And connection is where you're not fighting. It's where you feel the power and the bliss of love, where you have complete trust and faith. Usually in a relationship, it's when you're making love, like physically. Because in these moments, you know that you're able to give and receive love. And that's why it takes away all insecurity. It just clears the table completely. All the things that used to matter does not matter when you're in connection. No insecurity is triggered when you're in connection. And then you get out of connection and then stuff happens, right? But that's what it is. Bad behavior and good behavior. So bad behavior is blaming, complaining, and hosting a pity party. Simple as that. That's just bad behavior. And noticing when you're doing it and switching to good behavior is all that it is about. It sounds so simple, right? And yet it's so difficult. But it's just about that, making that switch. So how do we actually do that? Here is the main reason we start with our bad behaviors. We start blaming, complaining. It's because of the stories that we tell ourselves. Those stories that we actually choose to tell ourselves, because we're the ones telling them. Right? We're the ones saying, he must not love me if he doesn't take out the plate. He must not love me when he doesn't listen to me. He must not love me when this, that, and the other. When in fact, we have no idea what's going on inside his head. Or this story, mommy's so tired, nobody's helping me clean up. All these stories we choose to tell ourselves. They just come and we're hurt and we can't help it and we see, but we do actually choose them. Now, when we're in connection, we don't say these stories, right? So it's all about what happens after connection. And the way to change that, you can get back to connection, you can make love again, right? And then you get filled up. And then if you don't make love for a couple of days, your insecurity is going to go up again. Or if you're out of connection in a couple of days, you're going to be nagging at your kids. You're going to hear yourself say and do the same things over and over again that you know don't work with your children as well, right? The only way to change that is to start changing the stories when you're in it. You got to interrupt your own stories. That's why it's great to have a coach. So how do we change our stories in order to manage our mind and in order to do more good behavior versus bad behavior? You got to ask the right questions. When you start asking the right questions, you're going to change the story to tell yourself. So the best question to ask, if you were able, would be, gee, I wonder what it's like for him, like your husband. If you could ask that question, you would actually immediately connect with him. I wonder what it's like for him, but we can't because our own hurt and our own feelings take up all the space. Like our hurt ego is just bruised, right? So all we see is our own pain and suffering and what he did wrong. But if we could ask that question, that would be great. If you can ask the question, gee, I wonder what it's like for my kids. Like they're sitting in their room, they're playing, they're having a good time. You're coming in with that voice and all these things. If you could wonder what it was like for them, or if you could ask questions related to their world from their perspective, you would be connected again. But we can't ask that question when we're managed by our emotions. When we're in it, we just don't jump to saying, gee, I wonder what it's like for him. But we feel like he completely hurt us. And we feel like it's on purpose. And we're just seeing everything they're doing wrong. We don't just ask that question, right? This is where I was going to do a drawing for you guys. Maybe I should try that. Because what happens is that, I still wanted to draw on this. Let's see. There we go. Ooh, I can. Eraser, mouse, select, draw. Okay. I'm going to try drawing for the first time. So if we're asking that right question about, gee, I wonder what it feels like for him. That's what I call responsibility. I don't know if this guy, I don't know if this is working, guys. Make it white at least. So it starts with honesty. It always starts with honesty. Maybe yellow is better, right? This is supposed to be like a number one thing. This is really ugly. Okay, and then responsibility and then choice. Some of you guys may know this, right? C stands for choice. And when you're asking, gee, I wonder how he feels, you're actually here at responsibility, where you start to create a connection. But you have to go through honesty first. You can't just jump there. And then number 3 is choice. Oh my God, in him. Okay, this looks so bad. I'm gonna change the slides. I don't think this is helping you at all. And now it's on every, it's on all the slides. Gee, I wonder what it's like for him. Let me change these guys. So now I can't change this. Oh my God, it's gonna be everywhere. Let's see if I can undo. Yeah, here we go. I'm gonna practice a bit about on the painting part here. So, just gonna talk, okay. So there's a reason why we don't just ask, gee, I wonder what it's like for him. If we were able to do that, we get right into connection and stop our arguments. It's because we gotta go through honesty and ask and get real about how we feel. So it always starts with honesty. When we've been honest about the fact that we're driven by insecurity, when we can have that story and go, whoa, wait a minute, I'm feeling insecure, I'm feeling hurt, and getting and not denying how we're feeling, then you can later on you'll get to ask, gee, I wonder what it's like for him. But you gotta ask yourself the questions first. You gotta figure out, why am I doing this bad behavior? Why am I screaming? Why am I shouting? If you're in your pity party, I think it's literally impossible. But it gotta start with, how do you feel? You gotta get that off your chest towards yourself. You gotta acknowledge that. And here's the number one question I love to ask in order to stop you guys from making more war and just jump right to making love instead. And I don't mean physically, I mean making it by the way you act and feel. So here's a very good question to ask to get yourself back into connection. Does the mess around the house matter after great sex? Now, if mess is not your issue, put mess in and ask this issue that you always come back to. Is it money? Is it mess? Is it whatever it is, a symbol of the fact that you think you can't live together, you can't be together, something that really threatens your whole existence, which is your love life. Because that is our existence, because we need it in order to breathe and survive and be human beings. Does the mess around the house matter after great sex? No, it doesn't, because all we want is love. We want to feel connection, we want to be connected. When we get that, that's what we primarily want. We don't want him to clear the plates. It would be great, right? We can avoid a lot of stuff. I want to live in a clean house. I want to be able to move around, which I'm literally not with my husband, right? Or ex-husband. So I want to be able to that as well. But what I really want, and it's the most important thing of all, is I want to feel connected. I want love. And when you realize that, that's what you want. You get to see and really notice that what changes is not him. He's the same slobby or same great guy. He acts the same, right? The only thing that goes up and down is your insecurity. That's why I asked this question. Does the mess around the house matter after great sex, great connection? No, it doesn't, because what you want is love. So when you're honest with yourself and you answer that question, you can also then you can ask, why do I do this bad behavior? Why do I get insecure? Why do I feel like he doesn't love me, and then I get mad and I complain? In a day-to-day scenario, you don't realize that you're insecure when you're just cleaning up after him and you're nagging, but you are telling yourself stories that's going to get you out of connection, because then you're going to be blaming and complaining, because you're just telling yourself it's bloody annoying that he doesn't do this. Why does he leave his towels there? My husband had the same stories about me, why I always left my cup in the office. I had these habits, right? And if he's telling himself these stories, he's going to snap and he's going to do bad behaviors, right? So the stories will lead to bad behaviors. And underneath all of it, even though it's small day-to-day things, is your insecurity, right? That's driving everything. So when you can get real about how you feel and know that what you really want is love, not all these other things, then you get to answer also and ask, why do I do this? Why am I insecure? Oh, or why do I do bad behavior? Oh, it's because I'm insecure that we can be together. Then you can ask, gee, I wonder what it's like for him. So that's how you go from honesty to responsibility. That's the second level. And when you are responsible, that just means that you look at things from his perspective. You're taking responsibility. Oh, I could have done better. I can see that when I act this way, when I get really angry, I alienate him. When I get really angry, he gets scared. Like, look at this. Think about this, ladies. You could always go over and hug your husband and create connection and warmth. He doesn't dare to go over and just hug you because he's afraid of you for so many reasons, right? He's been told that he's doing something wrong his entire life. He's scared, beepless, right? He has way more feelings than we think about. And he's way more sensitive and insecure. He just has his way of showing it and dealing with it. So we have a choice. We can always do that. And he can't. He's walking around on eggshells, afraid, right? Most of the time. Or it's the other way around, depending on who you are in the scenario. So honesty, responsibility, and then choice, but it's about asking the right questions. So first question you can ask yourself, does the mess or whatever it is, does the issue matter after great sex or great connection? No, because the only thing that goes up and down is your own insecurity. That's what's causing your behavior. Now you have a choice. When you go through this work, you get to choice, right? That's number 3. What do you want? You can ask yourself again, oh, I want love. Do I want to bitch, moan, and complain? Which I can. I can call my mom, I can call my friends, and I can stay in that story that he should or shouldn't do these things. Like my husband even threw a plant at me. It was a plastic, it wasn't in ceramics thing, but landed right on my shoulder. I was in the shower. I felt so sorry for myself. It was an outdoor shower. You wouldn't even believe the surroundings. But anyways, I could stay in the story that, oh my God, everything, violence, blah, blah, blah. There's so many stories I could tune into and say, and everybody would say I'm right, but doesn't get me to connection, right? It just doesn't. So you have that choice. What do you want? Do you want to stay in the story that you're the victim, that he's done something wrong, that they should act better? You can stay there, and it's also true. But there's another truth too, is that you want love, you have a choice. You can act different, and he will respond differently. You can choose honesty and vulnerability. You'll get that back. You can give what you want to receive. You can give love to him in the way he thinks is love. You can give, quote unquote, give sex. You can make love, and you get love back, right? So you have a choice. And we go down the warpath many times, but you have a choice, and you can ask yourself, what do I want? Do I want to keep here, stay in the story, or do I want to switch and get to connection? You always have that choice. You do. When you train this, being honest, getting real about how you feel, taking responsibility, which is connecting to him, or actually it's going out jogging, doing something good for yourself, meditating, exercising, that's also getting you to connection. And it's also taking responsibility and seeing that you can do better, you have choices and things, and asking the right questions gets you there. So enough talking. I have talked enough. I really have. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. I'm going to cut this session short, and I'll hop on again and do the rest of it. I have a lot of questions coming in. I'm just not able to see it today. The tech part is playing a trick on me. But I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know. Please give me feedback. What landed, what didn't land. When did I talk too much? Help me help you. If slides work better, let me know. I felt they were a little annoying today. And just let me know if you can resonate with any of this. I really want your feedback, guys. I know this works, and I'm here to help you. My intention for these 5 days is just to support and serve you and turn that stuff around that really just stands in the way of you being the loving woman that you are and feeling your powers as a loving woman. You are a loving mother, you're a loving wife. We're not born angry, we're not born bitter, resentful. Those emotions are bad habits or are the result of bad habits. So let me know how it goes. And homework was sharing your stories. So I look forward to seeing all your stories in the Facebook group. And if you haven't signed up yet, because I'm going to send this out to everybody, I believe, sign up for the training, and then you get a link to the private Facebook group where you will get coaching and support from me and my team. And that's it. So good luck. Make love, not war.